All right, here with Steve and Andreu, we're going to talk about some games, specifically Slay the Spire, and I know we're going to get into other topics when it comes to indie gaming. So we talked about it a little bit, but like, tell me, what have you been up to with live streaming, with playing indie games?
I have been, it's kind of been like we're just going up the ladder of different things at this point. I started because I wanted to write like a blog for indie gaming, and then that turned into, well, I'll start live streaming the games that I'm writing about.
Yeah,
And then while I was live streaming, and that was going pretty well, obviously on Twitch, I was like, well, I should be putting up like other content on YouTube. That's a good way to grow a community too. So now
sure.
I'm doing like mostly YouTube. The writing's basically not happening at all because I just don't have time for that now.
Yeah. Well,
Which is fine
you're
because
doing
with a
what
video
you
format, it's
intended to do with the writing. Like,
yeah, right.
yeah, that's awesome, dude. And the fact that you're doing it, that's cool. We were talking about it like a couple months ago when you were over at the house
Hmm.
when we were watching Donnie Darko. Which, by the way, I watched another film that was like Donnie Darko that I was thinking in my head, Steven's gonna love this film, Horse Girl, on
I've heard
Netflix.
about Horse Girl. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
mostly been memes, but I have heard of Horse Girl,
yeah,
and
it,
it looks I mean, it looks fucking wild.
yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't watched it, but
It's like
it looks pretty insane.
modern day Donnie Darko, but the girl, it's a girl now. So, um,
No,
yeah, yeah,
that's okay. It's got Alison Brie, right? From
Allison
the
Brie.
Community,
Yeah,
and Glow and
yeah,
other things,
yeah,
I imagine.
yeah. She's great. She's a dork in this one.
Yeah.
Plays it off well. But that's so good that you're like doing it and like making it and just making the stuff. And I heard that you have subscribers, like you have an affiliate link for Twitch now.
Hmm. I did. It's weird because now I'm kind of getting into the normal motion of Twitch. I think like early on, people were very excited that I started live streaming again, or people that like know me were very excited that I started live streaming. So there was definitely a big like initial boost, kind of up. Now we're going back to like the normal levels, and then hopefully we'll keep growing up. But yeah, within the first week that I started live streaming again, I hit the affiliate kind of benchmark, which isn't, to be fair, it's not like super difficult. It's mostly just like a number of hours streamed. I think it's like 12 hours for the month for any 30-day period.
Yeah.
7 individual streams, I think like 50 followers and 3 average viewers. But I mean, even like if you're streaming for even a while, 3 average viewers can be like kind of difficult to maintain. But I've had some friends and some people that have been watching, so it's been going pretty well.
I
And
heard
then
from Joe and Corey and
yeah.
the interaction that I watch when I'm watching you live stream, all have been positive. Like they say you're good at doing it, like you're good at talking throughout the entire thing. And I mean, I think your avenue is like doing content online because you're so good
Yeah.
at talking. You're so good at doing
I
it.
mean, I definitely enjoy I really enjoy streaming online. The one of the sort of difficult aspects, especially like getting back into it from not having done it for so long, is like I'm actually really fortunate that I have at least a couple people that come into chat and talk,
Yeah,
because I'm relatively good at like talking to myself,
sure.
but I definitely feel like a lot of sort of my energy or my vibe comes from like bouncing off of other people. Um, and it's very noticeable. If you have 0 people or everyone in chat is just like lurking and they're not talking, it's really difficult for a lot of people to like be engaging or feel engaging
Yeah.
at all. So I've been doing some stuff like on my stream. I put a lot of effort early on into putting like things that people can interact with in chat. So you can like set up like a point system for people watching, and then you can, exclamation point points in chat to see like how many points you have, and you can like gamble them. You can use them to like redeem audio codes and stuff like that, or like audio files that play on the stream. And that's something that gets people in chat. And I think that's something that's like, if people see people in chat doing stuff, they're more inclined to want to get in. And that's been pretty good.
All those sound like good like tools and tricks and stuff. But have you found that using those actually increases retaining viewers or gaining new viewers?
I mean, if I'm gonna be like 100% honest, the most lucrative streams for me, as far as like gaining new viewers, gaining eyes on the channel, gaining followers in general, have been watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
while I'm streaming. So like if I do like a just chatting stream where I'm like I'll watch user recommended videos, like put a link in chat and I'll watch it live on stream. Those have been like the numbers are just insane because if I play um I don't know, some random platformer or something, maybe I'll have like 20 unique viewers that day, which is okay.
Yeah.
If I do like the watching YouTube on stream, I'll get like 120 unique viewers, and which doesn't mean they're all followers, and it doesn't
Yeah.
mean they're all watching at the same time,
Yeah.
obviously. But like those numbers, like those will hit like maybe 15 max or like peak viewers at one time, whereas the other ones will hit like 7, 6. Um, so it turns out not playing games has been the most beneficial kind of stream to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I play games anyway, so I don't mind having the stream on. Definitely, I feel like the one thing that I really wanted to do was to put stuff on YouTube as well. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
because it's
remember if it was, like
documented.
in a video or yeah, but I don't remember if it was like a video or a tweet or something that someone said it, but it puts it in really good perspective. Like if you're only doing Twitch, they're like, what if your favorite YouTuber, you could only watch their channel 3 hours a day? Or 5 hours a week? Like, would you actually watch them? And it's like, oh, probably not. It's like, yeah, so
It's like finding your favorite show on Netflix. You're able to watch it whenever you want versus it's on once a week on the
Right.
TV and you're gonna
Right.
tune into NBC or whatever.
Yeah, so I knew pretty early that I was like, I definitely want to be doing stuff for YouTube. It was a lot of timing, or just like time management that I had to put into it because right now, even though we're in global pandemic lockdown, I
Yeah.
am still working 40 hours a week. So figuring out the time to record multiple episodes at a time, that's kind of been one beneficial thing. I'll sit down.
What do you mean you're
an hour
working
and a half, 2 hours.
40 hours a week? Wait, how do you mean? Because are you furloughed from the job?
No, like I'm still working my regular job.
Oh,
So
what was your
I'll
regular
work
job?
My regular job at the old hobby store.
Okay, I thought that. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I thought
I-
I thought it closed
work-
down.
I work in the back, and we ship out products, which means we are
Still going,
technically
yeah.
considered an essential service.
Got it.
Grandma's got to get both her medications and her Commander EDH deck. It turns out, we're gonna deal 20 damage to the coronavirus and then exile the top card of its deck. It's gonna be a good time. But so I'm still working 40 hours a week.
Okay, well that's good.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to live stream, or I'm trying to stream on Twitch 3 or 4 times a week. Minimum 3, 4 on the weekends if I have time. And then also on the weekends, I record batches of YouTube episodes. So I'll sit down for like 2 hours, record like 3 or 4 episodes at a time, and then release those throughout the week, so I don't have to worry all week about recording content.
Yeah.
Um,
And so you're trying to do
yeah,
like a
and
little
then
bit every
plenty
day?
more stuff too. Yeah, I ideally I wanted something on YouTube every day, which just requires setting up kind of a schedule on the weekends of what I need to record. So that's coming along.
Good. Dude, I'm
It's a
happy.
lot,
I'm happy to
but
see you do
it's
it.
good.
As long as you have a sustainable model, like something that you can keep on doing. Because I don't want you to like overwork yourself and then like quit doing it. Because then
Right,
it's not
right.
it's not for anything.
Yeah.
But if you can like say,
I mean, again,
It's just
I'm
too
playing the
much or
games
not-
Anyway.
yeah, but then you playing the games, don't give yourself too much work because then you're gonna like resent it.
No.
Right?
No. Yeah.
I hope that you are doing this 6 months from now.
Right.
Yeah,
It's definitely
because you're good at this. This is what you need to be doing.
Well, I
You need-
appreciate that.
Yeah, you're awesome at it. You're
I
awesome.
definitely appreciate that. But yeah, I mean the content that I'm putting up, especially for Slay the Spire, like there's not a lot of like editing going on. I'm not like doing crazy splices or like video effects. So it's like relatively easy to
Good.
record that and just put it up. And the stuff that I am going to edit, it's going to be relatively small so that I could put up enough of it to like sort of meet the timing that I want. For those other things, maybe like once every 2 weeks, but it's whatever I can get away with, basically with what I can afford. I mean, obviously, if there are days that I can't upload anything,
Yeah, don't beat
upload it.
yourself. Do you
That's
do you
fine.
like ever like
Yeah.
judge yourself or whatever that man, I should be doing more. I should be doing this. Are you?
Sometimes it's tough because like everything like doing everything for this kind of stuff can feel like I mean, you understand, you have your own podcast on YouTube.
Dude, this is my 4th podcast today I'm making.
Yeah.
Okay?
Exactly.
I'm fucking hitting it hard. But
Exactly.
I'm
like,
trying.
I'm sure you understand. But like for me, I'm like,
It's
man,
10 p.m. on a
if I wanna
Saturday.
yeah.
We're going at this.
I mean, that was literally me. I was recording for like 3 hours today. I was like talking to people on Twitter about setting up all sorts of dumb shit. I was talking to people on Discord, just like chatting about like, oh yeah, what kind of game are you making, whatever. And then you're like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm fucking tired, but I do.
You don't want to say no to stuff. Yeah.
No, I don't
Nah.
want to say. That's. I mean, you mentioned, but I did the podcast with Joe. I guess last week. Time is an illusion now. Time doesn't exist anymore. But
I listened
did
to
the
that, by the
podcast
way.
with Joe last week.
That's a reminder. How did I think about it?
Yeah, would you like?
I mean, you're just awesome. Like you guys talking. You guys just it was kind of a shoot the shit podcast. And I don't know Flip, but I mean he's like entertaining as a guest. And I watched the other episode with him and Joe on there. And let's see, what'd you guys talk about? Just your thoughts on the quarantine and how you guys are like dealing with it. And it's just interesting to get everyone's perspective. The only thing is when you guys talk about the quarantine, I don't think that's like long-term content because this thing is going to come and go. And no, everyone's going to be bored of like, I'm so sick of hearing about that fucking coronavirus. Like,
Oh yeah. I mean, even like if I'm streaming and someone starts talking about like coronavirus, I'm just like,
it's
yeah, man, like it sucks.
Yeah.
We all
what's
agree,
interesting that is documenting how us people in it right now are thinking about it so that in 10 years 20 years when the documentary comes out it's like, hey, here were my thoughts on it. Like this is documented at the time that this is what it was like going through it, that some people lose their jobs, some people still have their jobs. I'm working from home, which gives me more time to do things that I want to do because I'm at my house. Like I can do whatever I want. And the not going out gives you like it hasn't affected me at all. Like I would stay inside anyway. You and me, like this is in fact like pushed you to go, I need to make more stuff online because viewers are out there. There's more people on Twitch just looking to interact with someone like you playing an indie game. And I mean, in this time, you could even like reach out to the indie developer of these games and say like, hey, I'm playing your game that released 3 years ago. That's still awesome. And you could even like get them on and talk to them. Like, I'm just putting out ideas, but
yeah, no, I mean that's
because they're
like what I
furloughed
mentioned
too.
Earlier, I've been talking to maybe not talking to. That's a little formal. I've been interacting with a lot of like indie devs.
You're
on
reaching out
Twitter lately.
Yeah.
And there's definitely, I mean, there's like when we talk about indie, I was mentioning this to Morgan earlier. Like when people talk about like indie games, we're talking anywhere from like a game like Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, which is made by like Ninja Theory, who did like the DMC remake and like Ninja Gaiden 2. That's technically an indie game because they published it and developed it themselves. All the way down to like Undertale, which is like one dude made it in his like basement. That game blew up, but there's a lot of people that just make games by themselves on their own time. 6-year process. And they're just sort of slowly pumping them out. And I've been seeing a lot of these people on Twitter lately, and I've added. I mean, I probably added like 100 indie devs, or like started following like 100 or 150 indie devs over the past couple days, and seeing this stuff popping up on my timeline is so fucking cool. So many cool ideas. There's a dude who's posting about like a rhythm game that's half rhythm game, half first-person shooter where you have to like shoot to the beat. And I was like, that's such a fucking cool idea. Like that's really sick. And these are all like, they don't.
There's
even
no
know if the
limit to
game's gonna come
creativity.
out.
There's like
they're like, I don't know if this game's gonna be made. I'm just messing with stuff, and I'm like, it's just so fucking cool. It's
dude,
great.
there's something similar I've been doing. I've been reaching out to like following a bunch of artists, graphic designers, people who do digital art, people who do sketching, people who do painting, and there's so much talent out there that people are trying to sell their own work and they either can't get it done. And like I'm taking a master's in business right now, so I'm getting my MBA. If I had the skills these people had to make an indie game or make artwork, the amount that I know how to sell it, if I could probably do it. I mean, like, but they don't have the selling skill and they don't want to, like, they don't know how to make their game work, but they're really good at making a game. They have one or two cool ideas for a mechanic or for a couple mechanics, and they have just enough to make the artwork, but they need someone to bring in to do like the finish touches or the advertising or get a contact with Steam or all these various things. And man, it's just such an interesting thing. Like, would you ever want to be a part of a team making your own indie game one day?
I don't know. Like, it obviously sounds like a really cool thing. It's something I've definitely thought about, but I don't really have any background or any knowledge about like game design at all. Like, as far as like level design and like general like conceptual things, yeah, but like I don't understand coding. I don't understand any of like the stuff in the back. It's really easy, and this is something that like the more I've paid attention and like watched and talked to people, the more it becomes like obvious, where like criticisms I used to have about games just kind of I don't make anymore at all. Like, you talk to someone and you're like, oh dude, but it would have been so much cooler if you had like this, or if when you did this happened. People are just like, yeah, I don't have I have no idea how it would fit something like that in. I don't know, it would just mess up this other stuff. There's all this stuff going on in the background, that the space wouldn't work. It would cost this much money, and you're like, yeah, there's a lot that goes into these things.
Yeah.
And a lot of shit that I just don't know.
But if you're
like,
passionate, isn't it
like, oh, this is how you make the level and it guide the player? But
yeah, but if you're passionate about it, wouldn't it be better to spend 40 hours of a work week where you got to like do stuff anyway to make your money, like doing your passion and designing?
Oh, sure. Like, it's something that I think would be interesting to look into, for sure.
Yeah.
But
we got a lot of years of this life thing left. We got a lot of years.
Yeah.
We got a lot of jobs, a lot of careers. Yep. And like, just in general, the economy, the motion of jobs are so fast, and so like we're going to be changing and doing what we're doing, because we could do so many things so quickly. Like, to make a video game takes like 2 years. Even high-end stuff, it doesn't take 6, 7, 8, 10 years. I mean, these things are quick, especially with an indie game. You can crank one out, probably a solid game, in like a year or 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on sort of what's going on. I mean, some people put out games in a couple months or in 6, 7 months, and then some people, they're like, this is something I've been working on for 8 years. Like, people who are indie devs, who are single persons with no actual funding, no Kickstarter that like went off. If those people still want to make their games, it usually happens like on the weekends for like 5 hours at a time.
Yeah.
So with no team or with no like financial backing, like sometimes these things take a long time. But
I love those
even
stories.
Then, sometimes you just get your Undertales or your Shovel Knights or whatever, and they're just massive successes, which is always good for them. But
yeah. Do you know the background at all for Slay the Spire?
I can't say I do.
Yeah, I don't either.
I listened to a CDC, or not a CDC, the quarantine, fuck me. I listened to a GDC talk that they gave about designing Slay the Spire, but I don't remember what they covered as far as like their history for that kind of stuff, because that's always something like at work, since I have a lot of time to just listen to podcasts and stuff. I'll listen to a lot of like GDC talks about like game design or just things that people dealt with while designing their projects, or like postmortems or whatever. But at this point, I'm like, I don't even remember.
Okay.
if they mention their backgrounds.
Tell me something you've learned about like a cool indie dev story about a game that you've been playing or you heard about. Do you know any off the top of your head?
Shit, I don't know. Just like a cool story about an indie game?
Yeah, because what is it that you like about indie games? You like that they're not a big conference of people, and we've got this team working on that. We've got
So I think one of the and I'm not saying you're doing this by any means.
No,
but
tell
I
me.
Know people. I know people that do this, or that kind of have this idea. I think there's like a misconception with a lot of people that like hear me talk about indie games, or like or that just know like what kind of stuff I like playing. That I just like hate AAA stuff, or I fucking hate like modern games. No. And I'm like, Call of Duty, fucking trash. Call of Duty again, same guns, same maps. I mean, like literally, we bought Final Fantasy VII over this weekend. I've been playing Animal Crossing like nonstop for 3 weeks. Like,
well, dude, I watch Marvel movies. I like Marvel movies.
I mean,
but those are the top of the, like, so much production. They're so clean, but I love myself an indie movie. Just a director with just a dream and like five
Yeah.
friends who are actors who, you know, like, let's do this thing.
I actually think we're on the way. I don't want to say on the way out necessarily, but I feel like we're moving away from this sort of idea that like AAA games are really stagnant. I think it was like really easy within like the PS2 era, definitely the Wii, the 360, and then somewhat in like the Xbox One and PS4 generation. I think less so. Like games are getting so expensive to make now, and they're so much more difficult to make than they used to be, especially
think
for
so?
like a good product. I think so.
Because aren't there more tools available to make stuff like Shovel Knight or like those like Factorio, which is like 8-bit, 64-bit. Like,
For stuff like that, yeah.
but you're talking triple A's. You're talking
talking
hiring
like
Keanu
AAA
Reeves
stuff.
for Cyberpunk.
Yeah, like making a game like Cyberpunk is a pretty good example, or a game like Final Fantasy. Like these are taking like resources and money and teams that are putting like so much effort into doing stuff like this. And I guess my general point is that like the quality of games now, I feel, is way higher than they were 5 years ago, or
Yeah.
10 years ago, where it was easy to make like kind of a shitty game that you just ship out and everyone's like, this is kind of the same thing over and over. Like,
Yeah.
we still get them for
Yeah.
the most part, but like even looking at AAA stuff, like going back just a couple years, I mean, Final Fantasy VII Remake is just absolutely insane looking. Red Dead Redemption 2,
Yeah.
God of War is one of my personal favorites. Breath of the Wild not too long ago, Persona 5, Horizon.
Yeah, all these like
are
just
pretty quality
amazing
games.
just classics. Just the replayability, the fact that your first playthrough is like amazing, but then you can keep on going with it, and it's so good, so much fun.
They're great, and again, that's not to say there weren't good games 10 years ago, obviously, but I feel like there's just less saturation of just like trash. Like if you go to get a new game that's like a AAA game, you're probably gonna get, at worst, you're getting like a really okay game,
like a really fun
like
10 hours.
Boring. Sure, or
the
just
worst.
Something that's like even when you look at a game like Anthem. Like Anthem is pretty like critically shit on. Everyone's like, this game's bad, this game's garbage, don't waste your money, don't waste your time. But Anthem's like mostly functional. It's just like, oh, they don't have like the super long-term grinding that a game like Destiny or Warframe or Diablo or Borderlands would usually have. So instead you just have something that's like mediocre. But like you go 10 years ago, you're playing like bad games. Like you would get a game for $60 that you'd put in, and you're like, this is unplayable. Like it's garbage.
Yeah.
And then I guess to get to the indie game part of what I'm trying to say, I think that there's a lot of space with independent developers and people that are making indie games where they get to try out a lot of new stuff, and because it's cheaper, because they don't have a ton of I guess we'll say pressure from like certain companies to like make some kind of product or deliver on some kind of thing, like they can really explore a creative space that I think a lot of AAA titles don't get to do as often. Or if they do, oftentimes they're just not super successful.
Yeah.
And because those AAA products cost so much, like there's a certain there's something that's expected of them to kind of return a product. So I mean, even looking at Nintendo, like Snipper Clips, it's a pretty fun game. It's a pretty interesting game. It's definitely clever. But Snipper Clips is not going to like sell fucking Nintendo Switches.
Yeah.
But like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey are going to.
Animal Crossing. That sold Animal a Switch Crossing. for my sister, who's she does not play video games. She's 25, and she went out and bought a Switch with her adult money. She went and bought a Switch and Animal Crossing because of the nostalgia of playing it. It was the only game she had on GameCube. I was like the big into GameCube. I'm a year. I'm 18 months older than her, and so I would play all these games. And she had one game she liked to play because she thought it was cute. They got her buying a Switch. They got her buying Animal Crossing. She loves it. She's having a great time with it. She shares it with her other friends, and like she likes that she can have a little dog, and it just that's a sale right there. You are getting a new market of people that otherwise would have never played a video game. They've adapted, they've changed, and
I mean, Nintendo's always been good at that kind of stuff. Just iterating on like the the old games, the games that everyone's used to, the Marios, the Zeldas, and the Metroids and stuff, and just making stuff that people want to go back and play.
It's
and
awesome that Zelda's been around for so many years, and the best game in the series came out is the latest, is Breath of the Wild.
I mean, it's actually amazing, and part of what they had to do to get there is abandon the things that made Zelda stereotypical Zelda. And even like Mario Odyssey to some extent, they're like, if we're gonna make a game that's not, oh fuck, it's just another Mario game, like we have to like step outside of our safe space. And I think that's kind of, at a fundamental level, I think that's what I like about indie games, is that people will make games sometimes. He's back.
Don't say it until I'm back.
True.
Dude, my poor computer, dude. I've been abusing this thing all day. I've been hitting it, forcing it into submission. Work harder. Still, all right. Here we go.
You're back. Now you're back.
All right. You remember your point?
They are willing to make games, to have an idea and push it to its absolute limit oftentimes. And, you know, to be fair, not every indie game is good. The same way there are a lot of bad AAA titles. There's some indie games that are bad. Sometimes they're bad because people don't actually care about the product they're making and they just want to make a game really fast and make money. Sometimes
those get weeded out so quickly.
Great at those get weeded out.
We live in the internet.
I feel bad about are games that are good ideas.
Yeah,
but they just don't make a great game. Maybe they just couldn't afford.
Well, why don't we do that?
Polish it up.
Why don't we make a show or whatever? And like, not that anyone listens to us, but you on your platforms that you're trying to develop, and me, same thing. It's like, let's talk about these. Let's give them the praise. Let's post them in the subreddits. Let's get people going to those. Like, I want, like, this is what me and Corey are doing about movies. We're going back to like movies from the 2000s that you may have missed to talk about them. Like, you need to go see this. You came over and watched Donnie Darko with us, like, and we talked about it. I don't know if anyone's going to see that or find it interesting, but the fact that, and I'll be happy with it in 10 years and people go back and like look at it like, hey, this is what they thought about that old movie then. It's the same thing with indie games that you're doing now. You want to give a shout out to these devs, these guys with good ideas who sat down and actually cranked it out and didn't get the notice that they needed to, because the internet, that's what I love about it, is that we live in this ecosystem where everything's online and it stays forever. But that applies to games that, like, look at the story of No Man's Sky. It's like it was a shit game that had good ideas, that was overhyped, and then they've come back from their reputation. And it's, I think, reputationally known as like a good game now.
Yeah, people, if you still keep up with No Man's Sky, you know No Man's Sky has redeemed itself, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is definitely good. I mean, again, there are a lot of indie games that kind of break out into being like mainstream titles, like we were saying, Shovel Knight, Undertale, No Man's Sky is a pretty good example. Even stuff that's more obscure, like Celeste, which is like a platformer that came out in 20.
Part of why we're doing this, by the way, is I want to get a lot of suggestions from you. So I'm going to use this opportunity to ask you.
Fair. I definitely got plenty to give out.
Good.
But Celeste is a platform that came out in 2018. It is amazing. It is so fucking good. It is legitimately like one of the best games I've ever played.
Okay, I'm gonna buy it because you just said that.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I hope
so I'm gonna throw money at them.
Difficult platformers.
I couldn't get into what's the other platformer that's super
Meat Boy?
No, not that. Maybe not platformer, but it's like a Metal Knight or Castlevania.
Yeah.
Is it Metal Knight? Is that what it's called?
Don't know.
Fuck. Sorry.
Axiom Verge?
No.
Is it Bloodstained?
No. I'm so sorry. I should have had this on top of mind. It's like, it was a super popular one a couple of years ago.
Is it not Shovel Knight?
Let's see. It's not Binding of Isaac, although I have been playing that.
Is it The End Is Nigh?
It's not The End Is Nigh. You keep asking. What is that one? Not
The
Darkest. Deus Ex. I really want to think about it now that I've spent so much time on it. It wasn't Darkest Dungeon, although I do like that one. Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight. Did you say that?
I didn't say Hollow Knight.
Okay.
I said every other night.
Okay. So Hollow Knight, I want to like it so much, but I can't get into it. It's just too like wandering. Have you played that, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking. I don't know how
Yeah.
much.
I love me some Hollow Knight.
So is
I love
Celeste
me.
like that at all?
Not really. Celeste is like, it's more like a traditional platformer. You just kind of play a level.
Okay.
It's very difficult, but it's not like a Metroidvania where you're like collecting new
Metroidvania was
abilities
the
and-
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that was
I think
the.
that's right. Yeah.
So what do you like about it? You said it's the
nothing like
best.
that. Which one?
Celeste.
Hollow Knight or Celeste?
Celeste. You said
Oh.
you love it.
I mean, just the design of the game in general is just really, really fucking outstanding. Like it's another one of these really simple mechanical games where you have your jump, you have a dash ability, and you can grab onto walls, and then every level is designed to introduce new ways to use those abilities, to make you stack new things that you're learning on top of each other to test your skills. I mean, the you know, the building blocks of a good,
Yeah.
basically any good video game.
It's
but
like solid
especially of a good
fundamentals.
platformer, right? But
Okay.
it is some of the best platforming I have ever played. It is very, very challenging, but the way those levels are designed and the flow of getting a good run going in a level is super, super satisfying. And then on top of it, the game's story actually kind of it lends itself really well to the kind of gameplay it is.
Yeah.
It kind of has to do with like mental health and anxiety and like depression a little bit too. Like you play as a character who suffers from anxiety, and she wants to climb a mountain called Mount Celeste to prove to herself that she can like finish something that she starts. And obviously the game is very difficult, so you kind of feel that connection of pushing through something that feels impossible, and the satisfaction and reward of like actually managing to complete it and looking back and seeing how far you and there's more to it, but
Sure.
overall
But the way they
it's just
presented
a
that is
phenomenal
awesome. Yeah.
experience. Yeah,
And
is
what I
such
love
a
is
good
that
experience.
like a AAA game, they would add too much to it. They would have like an actress like voice acting it and cut scenes and all this like just different dialogue trees and options and alternate endings and really in-depth skill trees, and just none of that is what makes this
they
game for
definitely
you.
could add some stuff that didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
But even Celeste, which is a relatively small, relatively unknown, was like showing up in like the game awards for like game of the year, was showing up for like best platformer, best indie, games for impact, which are like, you know, games obviously that tackle some kind of subject or have some kind of aspect to them that's like, you know, something that people are proud to have as part of the gaming community. And even that, you're like, well, that's kind of a small indie game, but
Yeah.
a lot of people know about it. There are games where nobody has ever fucking heard of it, and those I think are super fascinating, because some of the stuff you can find when you really dig deep is just really, really interesting. Obviously, like, good stuff floats to the top for a reason, usually.
Yeah.
Like, I can't argue.
But
how
if it
good
doesn't,
Hollow
you
Knight
can
is.
bump it. If it doesn't float to
Yeah.
the top naturally, you can get it up there with your own. And sometimes all it takes is just a couple people. Like the fact that you told me about a couple of these games. Like I'm a person that I got some time. I still have a job, and I save up so that if I'm bored, like I can buy some of these. And I've been buying. So what I bought recently is Sekiro, which fucking amazing. I know it's not an indie game, but that game is. I see why it's game of the year.
It
It's
might be an indie game technically. I don't know.
I don't-
At some point, you start pushing what it actually
it
means. To be
it
an
doesn't
indie game, 'cause,
function.
like,
It doesn't have the spirit of an indie game. Darkest Dungeon does. All these other ones, Slay the Spire, all these ones kind of have that feel. Sekiro is like, it feels like a AAA, very, like good game, like solid mechanics, and the graphics are amazing and all this
yeah,
stuff.
I mean, hey, technically, Death Stranding is an indie game.
No, fuck that.
It is Kojima Productions.
They've got millions of dollars. Look, man, it's about
Hey,
if you work for the man.
dollars don't make it. What do you mean?
No, if you work for the man, that's not an indie game. If you don't work for the man, that's an indie game. That's my metric. Am I totally off base?
Interesting. I mean, again, the range is pretty wide for not indie game or what is considered an indie game.
So I bought Sekiro. I bought Slay the Spire, which I've been slaying the hours on that game. That game is so much fun. I bought a couple other games. My brain's like shot. I've been doing too many. Binding of Isaac. I didn't buy Binding of Isaac. What else did I buy? I wanted to tell you about it. Bastion.
Oh, Bastion's a good one.
Yeah, I beat that in like 8 hours. I kind of just wanted to get through that one. It was fun.
Bastion's pretty good. That was actually one of the games made by the team that did Bastion. Pyre is probably going to be the next series that I start on YouTube. I was looking on my Steam now to see how many hours I had in the Binding of Isaac. What? 258 hours.
What do you like
and
about that
100
game?
in the original. It was just fun.
I can't get into it.
Was like one of the first games I played.
I
like one of the first indie games I started playing.
I find it boring. I like the idea of it, but what it's just about starting a run, and it's fun to just shoot like tears out of your eyeball to.
The thing that makes Isaac for me are the synergy. That is like the big selling point.
Okay,
and
talk to me.
Unfortunately, a lot of the cooler things that you start getting in Isaac happen from completing certain checkpoints.
I can't get very far.
Right.
Yeah.
That's normal. So like you start the game and you have like the 3 characters, or I think you just start with Isaac and Maggie, maybe. Obviously,
just Isaac.
Literally forever.
Just
okay,
Isaac.
Then,
yeah,
you
I don't.
Just Isaac.
That's been boring for me. I want to try different things to see,
now
but I can't.
Like a shit ton of characters.
Well, should I buy Binding of Isaac 2? That's kind of my thing. I'm sort of considering because like maybe I'll just skip Binding of Isaac, just go to number 2 where they did things better.
We're at Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which I think is in their Afterbirth Plus update. So we're like 4 or 5 iterations into Binding of Isaac Rebirth, but that's fine. Listen, none of that matters. The point is, as you progress through the game with different characters and complete different things with different characters on each run, you just start getting more and more unlocks, more and more items you can get. And Isaac has really powerful synergy. Instead of like items just stacking on top of each other and you just get a couple items at a time, you'll get, let's say you get an item like Ludovico technique that's like you control one floating tier instead of shooting tiers, where you're like, okay, now I have a floating tier. But then let's say later you pick up the item Brimstone that gives you like a blood laser that you shoot out of your mouth. Well, now instead of being able to shoot the blood laser, since you have the floating tier, you actually just have like a ring of blood laser that you control. And then if you get homing tiers, the blood ring automatically homes in on enemies and it becomes like an amorphous blob that you control with WASD instead of like shooting your tiers. And they just keep adding abilities onto each other. And that's just always the most fascinating thing.
That's kind of the problem. That sounds cool. I want to play that. I don't want to play shoot one thing out of your eyeball, and like it's really hard to get through the first couple. Like I've never beaten Mother. I think it's like the first boss.
Mom, yeah.
And so is that the first game? Is that the only thing you beat Mom and that's it? And then you do the run over and over and over again with different.
So you have like classic Binding of Isaac, like not Rebirth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's on your Steam.
Classic. The base original game that I bought for like $15, and I was like, I don't like this. I want to like it because I hear all these good things. Should I just skip it and try to? Because I'm willing to put in for these roguelikes.
If you want to play Binding of Isaac, you have to play Rebirth. It has so much more content. The items are so much more interesting. I mean, it's almost to the point where it's like close to too much because there's so much variance in a run that it becomes kind of absurd.
Okay.
But there's so much stuff. Like they have an item called like the D100 that just full rerolls every item you have on you into any other item in the item pool. Like Mom is like the normal boss, but the progression of like killing bosses is like you kill Mom in the normal run, then you unlock like Mom's heart.
Yeah.
The area is called the womb. But you fight like Mom's heart 9 times. You fight like a fetus, and then you fight Mom's heart, and then you unlock the chest, which you fight like a version of Isaac that's like an angel, and then if you beat, or that's the cathedral. Then you fight the chest where you fight like a dead version of yourself, and then there's like the mega chest or something where you can fight Mega Satan on top of it.
I want to get to Mega Satan. I don't want to get to almost mom or mom and not able to do it with pretty boring mechanics. So it
Right.
sounds like I just need because I'm willing to give it a chance. So I'll just drop the $20 or whatever on the next version and just sort of keep on playing it.
To be
So
fair,
I appreciate
Isaac does
that.
require a lot of time put into it to unlock some
I
of the
don't
best
mind that.
items. Yeah,
I
I'm
like to
just
do
saying,
that.
just
Yeah.
just in case. Like even so, Isaac is really boring when you first start playing the game because he's just like base character
Yeah.
and doesn't have anything interesting. Eventually, if you beat, I mean, I don't remember exactly what it is. I think it's if you beat Satan with Isaac, you unlock an item called the D6 that lets you. It's like an active item that just lets you re-roll an item in front of you into something else. And once you get that, like the ability to start like shaping your runs becomes a lot easier, obviously, and a lot more interesting
Yeah.
because you can see an item that you like, you take it. You see an item you don't like, you can just try to turn it into something. If you don't like that one either, you can look for a battery, you can fight some rooms, re-roll it again, and you kind of go off from there. So
These
even
games
Isaac
are called
becomes one of the best.
these games are called roguelikes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've done a little bit of reading. I didn't know what this whole genre of gaming was. I had no idea what it was. I looked into it. It's awesome. It is awesome that they are the challenge is a meta challenge. Gone are the days where you pick up a game. Well, they're not really gone, but they got to be real pimped out. That you sit down, play through a run, and at the end of it, you're like, story over. I'm happy. We'll walk away, and maybe I'll play that again in a couple years. But those days are over. We're in the I want to play this over and over and over again. I want to grind. I want to make my account into unlocking all these sets. So Slay the Spire is like that. You have basic cards, you go all the way through, and you are just unlocking your account to get more and more cards, which ups the complexity of the game to like a level that's very satisfying. It's going to take you dozens of hours before you get to like I sort of know what I'm doing. And they throw different elements in you. There's so it's PvE and it's random. It's you sort of know the bosses because you're going up a spire and you know the kind of people you're fighting, but those are randomized. They have randomized attacks, and the cards you get are random, and the choices you get. But if you make solid choices, you get all the way to the end, and that's when it's really difficult. Then they send you back to the beginning, and you got to keep on doing that. And every different run is a new combination, this is a concept I've had to learn. I've never played a game very sparingly, and I've actually slayed the Spire, so I'm happy that I got to see what's it like after you beat a roguelike. You get to the end. Well, this is not the end at all. This is you get a new level of complexity you can up the difficulty and try different strategies to beat the same boss. That it's not boring that it's the same boss with the same sort of mechanics. It's the way you're beating that boss is totally differently with different items, different decks, and the combinations you can do in decks are insane. I don't know if you said you've only done like one run of it, so you don't have like all the characters and all the.
Well, I've finished, like I've gotten to the end now of two different runs. I've beat the third boss twice. In Slay the Spire.
Okay. The third. Okay. So have you ever gotten to the
I
end?
think I have like 15 hours. I have not done any of the Ascension stuff.
I don't know what the Ascension stuff is. What is that?
That's like where if you beat the run, you can increase the Ascension level and do another run, and everything's more difficult.
Okay, I haven't gotten there.
In Slay the Spire is Ascension 20.
Okay, I got some work to do.
Difficult. Yeah. So I've gotten two final boss kills with the Ironclad.
Is that the first guy?
I'm currently doing and I'm currently doing one with the D.
Which do you have? So you've unlocked all 4 characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So which is your favorite?
I mean, right now it's the Ironclad. I think it probably could be
so
the
boring.
Defect if I learn it. I mean, it is boring, but it's like I'm so bad with the Silent. I know everyone loves the Silent.
Is the Silent the second one?
With the Silent. Yeah, the Silent's like the daggers and the poison. I'm so
bad. That's the only time I've slayed the Spire is with that guy. So it sounds like you've in your 15 hours have already slayed the Spire like a couple times. Like I thought that was like the point of the game. It sounds like there's a whole nother.
No, there's a whole like the actual
I didn't know that.
end of Slay the Spire is like 20 consecutive victories that keep scaling higher in difficulty. That's
Holy
like the
shit. Okay,
actual
I've got some work to do. I thought I was like, oh, that was a cute game. I beat it.
Yeah,
I'll
well,
try it again.
when you said slayed the spire, I was like, oh, I assume you mean like you got to the end,
No.
like actual end.
No.
You got to the part where it was like you hit the thing and then it's like question mark victory.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I felt like that was victory.
yeah,
I felt like I was done.
I mean, I've only done it twice, obviously, so it's not
Yeah.
like a huge deal.
It's hard. Like
Yeah.
to me it's
Yeah,
designed to be difficult. Like I have I mean, again, I've done so many runs. I can't win on the majority of the runs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not it's like a combination of luck and your own choices, and I love that element of it. You got to work,
Yeah.
you roll with the punches.
I'm at the point now where I'm mostly comfortable getting past the first boss. Like the first boss used to be an accomplishment, and now I feel like the first boss I'm like I should probably be able to beat the first boss, and if I'm not, I either got terrible cards or I've made terrible decisions.
Yeah.
And there's really no in between that. And then anything past the second boss, I feel like, or past the first boss, I feel like the second boss can be pretty difficult. The hallway fights in the second area can be pretty difficult.
Yeah.
And
I
then
love
obviously
the third character, the guy with the orbs on top.
Yeah.
That's my favorite character.
That one's definitely primed to be my favorite character when I play more with it. I started my first couple runs today. I did one run off camera and one run that I started recording for YouTube. And obviously I don't know like any of its cards, or I don't know like how powerful it can be, but just from getting a kind of an idea of how it plays, that one's super interesting. Super interesting. It's a lot to think about at one time though.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a good one.
Yeah.
Very difficult, or very different from the Ironclad. I get block, I hit, I smack you.
I just had a run
Pass turn.
where I had only attack cards, and it was just zap them down and heal at every opportunity. And I would just pick up some cards where I picked up that one card with the Ironclad that you deal damage to them and you heal however much damage you do, and I would just use that and like survive all the way through and beat the boss, and then I would get all my life back, and I'd just do that again. And that run, that's probably not a good.
Yeah,
I was doing
the other thing.
buku damage. I was doing crazy damage, but not.
I definitely had to figure out that, or not figure out, but I had to realize that like when you're fighting a boss, you could definitely like, you can let them hit you a little bit because you're gonna heal at the end of it. Like I would always play super conservative. I'm like, no, I got
no damage at all.
The damage. And I'm like, well, maybe against the boss I could let a little damage slide, and it's not a huge deal as long as I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But no, that game has been super fun. But I've played a lot of roguelikes over the past fucking, I don't know, decade now.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
How long have you been around? Forever?
So roguelike comes from the game Rogue.
Yeah.
That was like a procedurally generated, like top-down dungeon crawler type thing. And the phrase, so I don't think anyone like has a concrete answer, but people seem to think that like roguelike kind of came from a game called Spelunky. I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
I've never played it, but
yeah, the sort of core tenets seem to be like permadeath, some kind of randomization, and then anything after that can be like anything basically. Like the things that people used to classify as roguelikes are not like set rules. Usually permadeath and some kind of randomization seem to be the things that all of them have. But I mean, I have played so many in my lifetime at this point, and kind of because of the nature of a roguelike, because it's that progression that you build upon run to run, and usually the very, very high difficulty, they're like really intimidating to me. Like when I just played Isaac, I was like, this is fine, this is great. I just played Binding of Isaac, super replayable, tons of stuff to do, tons of synergies, tons of cool items. And then I was playing like, I have the Binding of Isaac, I have Wizard of Legend, there was like oh my god, what is it called? Hades. I've played Spelunky.
Would you recommend
Slay
Hades?
the Spires one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're just gonna recommend everything. You just love.
I mean, there's things I would recommend higher than others. Like,
yeah.
If I'm like, oh yeah, Celeste, Hollow Knight, these are the best of the best. And if someone's like, oh, Botanicula, I'd be like, I don't. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
I don't know. played a lot of shit, but yeah, just roguelikes are just always super intimidating because of how much time you have to put into like really see what it's like. Enter the Gungeon is another one that
Okay.
plan to play for YouTube because I didn't play it that much on my off time. Just because at this point, I I used to really value roguelikes because of how much replayability and how much content was in them. And now I'm not gonna say it's a detriment, but it kind of almost puts me off
Because
because I'm like,
you'd
I want to
rather
sit
like,
down and just play a game.
especially with what you want to do, which is like indie gaming blog, you got to play a fair amount of them. You can't just get stuck with one, even if it's a good
Right.
game forever and ever and ever.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to see a lot of different games. So playing
Yeah.
something like Enter the Gungeon, I'm like, well, I feel like I'm not doing the game justice if I play it for 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like I need to get to the end of it, but that
Takes
process
too long,
is going
yeah.
to take a long time. And that's why I wasn't playing Slay the Spire because I was like, all these cards I have to learn, strategies I don't understand, bosses I don't understand. I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And I'm like, well, if I turn this into a YouTube series where I just play for a couple hours a week and make videos of it, I can sit down and actually play the game and enjoy it. And I've definitely I've gone over the curve. I went from being like I need to sit down to play Slay the Spire to like I wake up and I'm like I kind of want to play Slay the Spire.
Good. Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
we've
it's a
definitely
cool
gotten there.
it's a cool thing that you just play games that you would do anyway and just record your progress and then like do a retrospective on them and like this was my experience going through it. Maybe that's the written form, or maybe fuck the written form and just do a video essay, or like come on here and tell me about it. Or see, the thing with podcasts though, it's not very like organized. Like we're not doing an in-depth review. We're kind of touching on a lot of topics, saying what we like about them and moving on. So do you want to make like almost like a documentary of an analysis, a review, like mechanics, and then you talk about that for 20 minutes and then
My plan right now, in addition to doing like the series that are just like playthroughs, which obviously now I'm
do
doing Slay the
playthroughs
Spire.
get views? I don't think so, right? You upload on YouTube like me playing Slay the Spire. Here's 13 videos. No one's gonna watch part 8
I mean, yeah.
unless you think otherwise. I mean, if you think they will, then you're gonna do it and upload it.
I think okay. I often underestimate what kind of content people are interested
Okay.
in YouTube or on YouTube.
Yeah.
And especially with gaming content, I think people will succeed oftentimes by putting a literal 10-hour long VOD with no face cam and no audio, no commentary. They just play the game. People will still watch that kind of stuff. So for me, the reason that I'm doing the Slay the Spire, or why I want to do the Slay the Spire content, is A, it's content I can put up consistently.
Yeah.
B, it's a game that I enjoy playing that I think other people would enjoy watching. Like, I started playing Slay the Spire because other people play Slay
Play Slay the Spire.
My brain. Slay the Spire.
Yeah.
I watched other people play it.
Yeah.
And I was watching, 30 hours into their progress, and I was like, this game looks cool, I want to get into it. But the reason for Slay the Spire I think it's pretty good is because it's something I can upload every day. And if you're someone that's interested in that, you can come in every day and see more of that content, and it just kind of goes on.
Okay. So your confidence in that has made me like think a little bit differently about how I should approach stuff, because I'm like, I should, like, I want to talk about this, but it's just gonna be my thoughts, just shooting the shit. No one's, if I organize this, and that's gonna be so much time, and I don't want to spend the time and effort doing that. But you've kind of broken through that.
For me, with Slay the Spire, it's kind of a unique scenario because I don't plan on that being the only thing that I do. It's been all I've really put up outside of a couple like stream highlights on my YouTube so far. But I plan on doing games that are entire playthroughs of a game in order. The two that are on my plate right now, Pyre is the one I mentioned earlier. That's by the team that did Transistor and Bastion. And then a game called Grease. That's like another 2D platformer. That's it's a very hyper stylized, very aesthetics focused 2D platformer, kind of like a 2D Journey. I don't know if you ever played Journey.
Nope.
But those are two games that I'm going to upload, and those have a very obvious start and end to them. That's again kind of the thing with roguelikes is like, well, where do you start watching Slay the Spire? It's always, well, you kind of just start at the wherever you are.
Yeah.
And then you just keep going forward from that. But being able to put something up consistently and putting up different kinds of stuff has been really nice. And I mean, again, I have only started posting on YouTube again within the past week, basically, after not having uploaded for probably close to 6 years anything of actual substance. Um, so it's a slow process, but that's why I'm kind of getting into the networking. I'm talking to different groups of like indie game content creators. We're sharing ideas, we're sharing our stuff, we're sharing our streams, our YouTube channels, and I kind of just want to grow out from there, get a
Well, dude,
bunch of different stuff going on my channel.
if yeah, just an offering, I'm not trying to like make something happen, but just I'm trying to do similar things like in my own way. But I love indie gaming. It's like from the hours of like 10 p.m. to midnight. I just love sitting down, chilling with the game. If you want to do like some sort of like show how we're doing now, like you and me talking like once a week, and then maybe getting another person on. If you want that support, I would be there. And we can do this thing and
Sure.
upload it to
I mean,
your channel and see if people like us talking this way. Would you? What do you think about that? Would that help you,
I mean,
or
in
it would help
in
me?
the past, I am on the record saying I would be interested in doing a podcast about gaming and about indie gaming with people. It's just a matter of
I'm your guy to
who
start
and
out.
when, and I mean, hey,
I'm your guy,
that's fine by
and
me.
we'll see. And
That
if
sounds like a good thing.
if
I
you
I didn't know how many games you played. You know.
this is your thing, right? Because I don't want to like barrel in and be like you had this idea to do indie gaming, and like now I just am gonna be here as your co-host. But what if we just did? I mean, we got time. We got the passion. We got the energy. You're already making videos. Otherwise, I'm probably not gonna be a gaming channel. Like I like on my channel right now. There's movies and there's Magic the Gathering because
Yeah,
I'm
like,
not
are
bad.
you sure you don't want to be an MTG Arena streamer or
I streamed
content
the other night.
creator?
I
Oh yeah.
yeah. I've streamed in the past here and there, never like consistently, but my thing there, it was, we'll see how it goes, but I streamed Magic the Gathering, had a good run. Now I'm in the process of making a YouTube video about that run. I went 6 wins, 3 losses, which the best you can do is 7 wins on Ikoria. It's a new draft, so it's like this is the time to do it, and it's called drafting to win. So it's like the play to win. I'm not here to like have fun or I mean like it's fun to win, and so I'm talking about my mindset. I'm talking about here's how I'm going to trick the opponent. Here's how we're going to like tempo, like outvalue them. Like we're going to play suboptimally so that we can get the win later on. Like, and I've got the results that prove that. Like if you get consistently 6 wins or 7 wins and you're articulate that you see, you can articulate how I was thinking about this. And yep, there's the counter magic. This is what we were looking for. I think people find that helpful. And I've already got like 160 views. For me, that's a lot. That's the most I've gotten on any of my videos for my first episode. And so I made like 3 episodes right after that and just pumped them out. And I'm on episode 6 of doing that now. So if I keep on,
definitely noticed that your MTG Arena stuff got a lot of views, or more than the other stuff on average, at least.
yeah. And I just have to find a different way to monetize, like, or not monetize, grow the viewership of a movies podcast. But I'm trying to branch around and just choose everything I want to do. I'm kind of like not fractured, but I just want to do everything. And indie gaming, I respect it because it's underground a little bit. Like what you just described, that someone could make it in their basement for like after work for 3 years and work on a game. I follow the indie gaming subreddit. I see the mechanics and the art that comes out of that, and I'm excited. It's like, this is the game I'm working on, guys. Let me get your feedback. People are engaged. People are looking at it. I would love to join that subreddit and add to it with content that, like, hey, this is what I played this week. This is what you played, and just like talk about it and make some sort of a show about it that you could tell me how your progress is going with, I'm writing this or I'm playing this game or I reached out to this indie dev, and we could just try it out just to see if it's
I mean,
cool or not.
I saw a tweet today by someone that posted a video of a game they had been working on. They said for 8 years.
Wow.
But it was just on their off time.
Yeah.
And it was like a first person shooter that's also like parkour, like very movement heavy.
Yeah.
And he has wall grappling hooks and boost pads and stuff. And it's like total, like the whole game's like neon, kind of like 3D, almost like techno wave, like vaporwave looking.
It's almost like Mirror's Edge.
Looking at this, it's like, imagine like a Mirror's Edge, but like mixed with the aesthetics of like those screensavers that are like all purple with like the vector flooring and like the neon coconut trees. Like it's literally that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is absolute fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And this dude's just like, I just do it for fun. I had
It's
someone
one guy with an
add me.
idea. That's
Yeah,
sick.
I had someone add me on Discord, because I've been posting my Slay the Spire stuff on. I had one dude, that responded to it, or that commented on it or something, and he was talking about how he was designing a roguelike RPG deck builder, kind
Yeah.
of like Slay the Spire, but it's more like a traditional RPG, but it's like turn-based using cards. And he was talking to me, and then someone messaged me on Twitter saying that they saw my conversation with that guy, and they were like, "Hey, I actually am designing my own indie card game, and you had mentioned that you played a ton of card games and you work
Boom.
with card games, so
Right
I was
there.
wondering if you could take a look at it." And I've been chatting with that guy, and he's like, talking to me about like, yeah, I play a lot of card games, but I don't like the monetary aspect, so I wanted to play something that's like, that feels like one of these normal like Hearthstone type games where you open packs and stuff, but the game is designed to like feed that to the players in a way that it's not baiting them into microtransactions.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a consolidated single player experience, but with pack openings and randomized cards. And like all that shit's just super cool, and it's just been so fucking cool talking to people and just hearing what they have to say. And even like that guy, he's like, yeah, I've had placeholder images for like years, I've been working on this for like 3 years, like here's my update notes over the past like fucking 2 years that I've been uploading them online. And it's been super fucking cool. And this has only been a couple days, so I'm like,
Yeah.
this just makes me want to keep going, like even more. Like I put up a video for Slay the Spire, it gets 7 views. I don't care at all. I am so excited
Happy.
to make 3 more videos, put those out. I'm
Yeah.
excited to do a Grease playthrough, to do a Forager review, put those on my channel, put them on Twitter, talk to more people, see what they got going on.
Well, you're doing this beautiful thing where you're doing what you want and you're doing what you're good at. You're good at speaking. You're good at talking. You're good at doing these podcasts. You're doing it good at doing live streams. I mean, that's clear. That's it's anecdotal. It's what I've heard from other people. I think that's my opinion, but other people think that too. And so the amount that you got 7 views on Slay the Spire, you probably would get more if more people liked it. You would have a higher conversion rate. Like people wouldn't bounce out of there. They would stay on and be like, I like this guy. So you're doing what you want, which is playing games anyway, and linking up with what your skill set is. That's a beautiful thing. Like, and you could do that as a job the rest of your life if you wanted to.
If I wanted to, which we'll see about that. Maybe I do want to, but we'll see. But I mean, I don't want to be like delusional about the way these things work, even though there are a lot of breakout situations. Like a lot of this is a slow and steady process.
Yep.
And like I've mentioned,
10 years for an overnight success.
Yeah, I mean, I have done. I've mentioned this a bunch of times already. I've done YouTube before for Yugi. I know what it's like to go from like, oh, I get 5 views, that's pretty exciting, to I get 10 views, that's pretty exciting. I get 100 views, that's pretty exciting. And it just happens over time, But that's why one thing that I don't want to sort of fall into right now is just being like, oh, well, all I have to do is make content and people will see it. I think that that's a trap that I was in earlier on.
Yeah.
Because at first I was like, oh, well, it's easy. Like I'll just stream. People will find me. I know it takes a long time, but after streaming for a couple weeks, I was like, well, there's more I could be doing than just streaming.
Yeah.
I could be putting stuff on a constant archive with releases consistently.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I should be doing YouTube. I'm like, okay, well, I have stuff on YouTube. I stream. People are going to watch the YouTube videos eventually. And I'm like, well, how do I get eyes on YouTube? Well, I need to start talking to people. I need to start getting my videos out there. Where are the communities of people that are interested in this kind of stuff? Where are people that can share and like and retweet and spread my stuff out? And then that's where I kind of want to get the snowball effect going. And that's not going to be a fast process either, but like you need to add the fuel to the fire a little bit.
It's marketing.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Marketing is really tough because you're not sure what's working and what's not going to work. And it's like you don't know the type of person that would watch you. Like you don't know, yeah, they like games, but more specifically, who are they? Like someone who likes indie games, someone who likes you. What is it they like about you? They like they like how funny you are. Or they like your in-depth analysis. It's like, I follow this one guy who he does 3-hour long videos on games, and it's Noah Caldwell Gervais. Do you know who that is? Okay,
No
so
way.
he'll do like the latest AAA game that came out, or like games that he likes, like Baldur's Gate, like games from years ago. He'll do the entire series retrospective, and it's like he writes it out because he's a writer. That's what he wants to be. He reads a lot, and so he has a script, and he has this like bad voice. Like I love him, but it's not a good voice for doing like talking over a game, and he has really shitty production quality. And this guy's got just, it might be millions of views. I mean, just hundreds of thousands of people watching him, and he'd had nothing for years, and he just kept on doing it. And he comes out with a video once a month. There's different. I don't think he promoted it. I don't think he just had a really polished product. The writing was really good. His talking over it, he had really good points, and people stuck with it for like. They stuck. I mean, it's hard to get. I think I have to have the best content in the first 5 minutes. Well, this guy is talking about concepts an hour and 20 minutes in that break your brain. You're like, oh, that's why I watch him. Now, if you were to interview why I like him, it's not for any of the traditional reasons, but it's because I like how rugged his content is, and how he lives in a van traveling around with his dog and his wife, and it's like, man, that's a different type of person. He's doing this thing. So I signed up for his Patreon, and I give him $10 a month. I've been doing that for like a couple months. Like it's hard to articulate why I like him. How would he know that? He doesn't know that at all. He's like, I see the success going, but what are his metrics? Who could he have marketed to get where he is? He just stumbled upon it. He kept making good stuff. He didn't have this short-term 10-minute shitty videos, top 10 best ways to blah, 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 that get a couple hundred views, but then no monetization, no followers that stick with it, like.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I think it's really easy to look at the people who are at the absolute highest points of success in things like this, whether it be Twitch or YouTube, and break down, what is the number for the algorithm, what is the like to dislike ratio, what's the exact number of seconds people have to watch for, and that's valuable information to have, as a whole. But there are tons of people who might not be, 10 million subscribers, but maybe they're 200, 300,000 subscribers. It's not really bad either. And some of these people,
you can make a living. And that's all I want. I just want to make a living.
There are people where if you saw their content, not to be disrespectful, but you would look at their content and you could never imagine how they became as successful as they are. But I find myself watching a lot of these people consistently because
you're watching it because you don't
form stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I like different. Well, my point is just like there are things that are not traditional, sort of. Oh, you have to use a webcam. I watch people that don't use webcam. Oh, you have to cut your videos. You have to edit them. Attention span is only 3 seconds per cut. I watch people who just do long form playthroughs. I watch people who do 3-hour-long videos. There are certain things you can do to break outside the norm that I think can be successful. And a lot of that just comes from like what kind of feedback you see. That's why the early stuff is so fucking difficult, is because you don't get feedback. That's what makes it really difficult.
You're making me so happy by saying that, because you're so reassuring. Like, you're exactly right that it's these things. This is the internet. It's so crazy out there that who knows what works, and it's the lack of the feedback that makes it difficult. But you got to keep pushing through and you got to stay true, and you got to keep on hustling. And nobody can put a price on you being yourself, staying true, and you keep on doing it. Because if you have those two things, we'll make it in some form of success. And
for sure.
Yeah, it might not be the millions of dollars, but that's
right.
Like a pipe dream.
And as you go forward, you can look back and be like, well, what are things I can improve on now? What are things that I'm getting feedback on? But I think one of the things, like, I'm definitely responsible, or I'm guilty of this, and I know a lot of people that I know that do this kind of stuff are guilty of it too, is giving themselves feedback that's not actually present.
Okay.
So they'll be like, oh, people don't like this kind of stuff. Like I have some friends that do live streaming, and they're like, people just don't like this kind of content. But they don't really get viewers, or they don't have enough viewers where they're even saying that. Like you sort of self-impose things that aren't really there, or you start thinking of things that are like, oh, well, this is actually a problem, or
insecurities. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And again, early on, the difficulty is like getting any kind of community to go. Like again, right now I have no delusions of like what kind of content I'm making. I get less than 10 views per video right
Yeah.
now. I'm like that's fine because once it starts rolling, eventually people will go back and I'll have a catalog, a fucking library of content for people to look at, and I'm going to keep making content, and that's totally fine. But if I don't have stuff now, I can't market it to people, or I can't tell people, hey, come watch my stuff. I don't make anything, or come watch my stuff. I don't really know what kind of stuff I make.
Yeah.
Like that it becomes really
And also,
difficult. But if I say to people, I make playthroughs, I do reviews. If you like that stuff, come here. I live stream.
yes.
That's something that I could say. This is what I do. If you like that, be.
I'm waiting for the moment that I can proudly say, dude, I've been doing this for a year. I've got hundreds of videos. Like I want to, and you can't get to that point until first time. So it's patience, and then second of all, it's just doing it. It's exactly what you're doing. Just keep on grinding, keep on putting it out. And I love that you have this like documentation like aspect to it, because that's what I'm doing too. Like I don't know if we get 4 views on a movie. If it did we choose the wrong movie? Was it too long? Was it stupid? Doesn't matter. The fact is, I sat down with my friend. It wasn't work. We watched a movie. It didn't feel like work, but we produced something I am proud of it. We both watch every episode, and we go, well, Corey barely watches. He watches some of them. You know, like he helps me out and he gives me feedback and I give him feedback on, I watch every episode like 2 or 3 times that we do. And I'm proud of the product. And even if nobody watches it, 2 years from now, when I've still kept on making them and they've turned into whatever it turns into, that's what you do it for. And I'm going to be proud of myself then, because you're like right now you're investing, even when the return isn't there, you're investing your time, you're investing your hustling. And that's nobody can outdo your hard work if you're working hard. Like they can't take that away from you.
Yeah. And I think there's definitely like, for me, part of that consistency, like one of the things I regret the most, which to be fair, I was in high school making videos about Yu-Gi-Oh, so I can't be too hard on myself. But one of the things that I'm like, man, I was really dumb doing that, was like I would change my formula constantly, like, all the time, from one thing to another. And I'm like, I'll make one video.
I'm kind of
like,
doing that.
Did that get bad reception? I mean, I don't know to what degree you're doing that, because you're doing the movie reviews and they're pretty consistent as far as like what they are. You have Magic Arena content, but that's not like drastically changing what kind of stuff you do. I
feel like I do different things. Like what we're doing right now is a totally, where am I going to put this? If people tune in, like me and Joe just had a conversation. I recorded it. That's sort of for his podcast, but I'm going to upload it. What is this random talking to people, like what he's doing indie gaming now? Because I actually talked about him this morning. Like I have should I make 2 channels? And his advice was no, like Magic Arena and my personal channel. He says right now it's your one channel. It's you're selling your, like, where I said this, like you're selling yourself. And it just so happens that I did like Drafting to Win as a series. But like your thing is indie gaming. So if you have a channel, everything's indie gaming related. What are your thoughts on like splitting channels, or like just?
I think it's okay. And you know, this is something that obviously I'll be doing in the future as I start releasing more stuff on my channel, because again, it's been maybe a week and a half since I started uploading stuff. But I think what people appreciate is some form of a organization,
like a theme.
It doesn't, I mean, maybe like, if
how do you mean organization?
If people are there to watch you, right? If someone stumbles upon your channel or they see your podcast, maybe there are people that are there to watch your movie reviews, and maybe there are people that are there because they're interested in the Magic content. If they're interested in you, they're going to be on your channel. But if you have a section where you're like, these are our movie reviews, and we have thumbnails that easily identify what they are, and we have playlists that easily show where all that stuff is, and you know, like when I do a Magic video, or when I do whatever this kind of review is, and you make kind of like a series out of it, that gives some form of structure. Because saying like, oh, we're doing a random podcast, that doesn't sound great. But if you're like, well, it has a name, this is the first one, or this is the topic of this one, and we're going to keep doing it, or this is what they're going to look like, or what they're going to be called as we release them, that gives some semblance of structure. And then I think you have a lot of room to do different stuff.
You're saying guide the viewer. Like if they come to your page, just think about it from their perspective and go, you can have whatever you want on there, but just make sure that they can easily find the playlist on here's the earliest, here's the latest episode, and here's my Drafting to Win series. Because people, I don't know if people are like me at all. I look at dates. I look at go, they released this 2 years ago, and so this is an older one, or I'll watch the newer one, and
Yeah.
I don't know if other people care. Like, for example,
And
like
it definitely depends on. Sorry, go.
no, I'll finish my thought because this is gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
I want to get your feedback on this. It was kind of my decision to take episode numbers off of the movie reviews, because why would we have? I don't want
I think
anyone.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. I don't want people
Because
to not
if
watch
you're doing
episode
something
27.
that's- If you're doing something that's actually truly episodic, I think it makes sense. So like,
Yeah.
if it's something like progression, obviously with video games it makes sense because you're like, if we're progressing through the game, you'd want to know what's sooner, what's later.
Yeah.
But if it's like a Donnie Dark review, well, it probably shouldn't matter if that's your third or your 14th or your 20th. Like, if people are interested in the movie and they like your stuff, like they probably just want to click on.
But what about the benefit of this is episode 147? If you want 146 more episodes like this, you could check it out.
You could, I mean, you could even put that as like secondary information. So you could put like the title of the video is Corey or Coleman and Corey Donnie Darko review or whatever, whatever your naming structure is. I
Sure.
don't remember right now. But then in the description, be like, this is episode 20.
Okay.
And then that's something where people are interested, they can look at it, but it doesn't necessarily like scream what it is
Okay.
immediately. Obviously, it depends on what kind of content you do. Like, if you're a person where you're like, my YouTube channel is literally 100% like Valorant or something, like, you probably don't need to make every thumbnail the same. That's where you're, the clickbaity thumbnails with big fucking white lettering. Like,
A lot of girls in
I got the
bikinis out
alt
there.
off. That happens sometimes.
A lot of girls in bikinis. I got tricked so many times,
It'll
dude.
get a click.
I click on this, I
It'll
go,
get a
I'll
click.
watch this video, and there's not a girl in bikini in sight. I'm like, this is bullshit. I get angry.
There's definitely easy ways to get clicks like that. But for sure, if you're doing like series or if you're doing different kind of content, it can help to have some kind of like common theming to organize that kind of stuff, so that when people look at your videos, they can very easily distinguish like, well, what am I looking at here? Is this a magic video? Is this a review? That's kind of what I'm planning on doing with my stuff, because right now, again, I only have playthroughs up for Slay the Spire. I'm currently working on making thumbnails for like stream highlights, which involves me making pictures of myself reacting, unfortunately, and then
Hey, how much is that? How long does it take you to make those? Like, if I paid you to make thumbnails for our channel, oh, I've already asked this. You said no.
you can message me. You can message me later.
Okay, because I'll pay for it. All right, we'll work something out.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But I also know that I need to make a thumbnail for like the reviews. Like I was playing a game last weekend called Forager. That's basically like a cookie clicker meets Minecraft. It's just a game where you mine resources and then build like forges and factories to get more resources that let you build more stuff and get you
I
more
love that shit.
overpowered.
Yeah.
I fucking love that stuff too. So I binged Forager for like 15 hours straight, and I was like, I fucking love this game. It was so good. And I'm like, okay, well, I've been playing it, and I've just started putting stuff on YouTube. Like, this is the first game I want to do like a review of. And I sat down and I hit record, and I recorded myself talking about the game while I was playing it. And then I turned the recording off, and I was like, okay, that was great. And then I hit the video back, and I watched it, and I was like, this is actually dog shit. It's terrible. I was like, I give no information. I forgot to talk about skill trees. I forgot to talk about gear. I forgot to talk about dungeons. I forgot to talk about all sorts of shit. There's parts where I'm not saying anything at all. And I'm like, you know what? I don't think this is what I want to do. And just immediately, I was like, this is not what I want, and I don't even need to put it up to know it. So I deleted that video, and I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down and think about what I want to do. And I was like, how about I script out an actual review? I record my audio on Audacity. I record gameplay through OBS like I would normally do. And I sit down and I read out my script, and then I edit those two things together in like the software I have. And I put those up, and it only has to be 3 or 4 minutes, but it can be like a small review that doesn't have to go super in depth. And I can do that other stuff later, but I can have this for, this is something I can do 3 times a month or twice a month to just have a game review. I have tons of games to talk about, so it'd be super easy. It'd be really concise, really neat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I know I want to do.
It's like
and
it's
I'm
like
well, I
a
have to
little
sit down
bit.
and make a thumbnail for that too.
A little bit of preparation gets you so much better of a product. That's what I figured out with lots of stuff. Like, just a little bit. Just plan your like.
Yeah.
I get presentations for my business classes, and like, just think about what you're gonna say. Have like a point, and then it's so much easier than just going
Yeah.
up there. Yeah.
And for some stuff like playing the games, like a live playthrough, I don't mind. Obviously, that's just moment to moment. If I'm live streaming,
Yeah.
that's obviously
That's
its
the
own
game.
thing.
Yeah.
Right. But for a review, I'm like, well, if I want to do a review, like I want to know the things I'm talking about. I don't want to do it off the top of my head. I don't want to just do it like, oh, did I remember to talk about this thing? Did I remember to mention this? And Forager is a pretty simple fucking game. So if I'm forgetting stuff for that, like I am not going to be able to talk about.
You're not
games
focused.
like Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
Right.
you're not
I'm
focused,
too
yeah.
busy. I'm too scattered.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea. And then keeping it smaller, I think makes it first not as overwhelming for me to actually do. It lets me do
Yep.
a lot of them. And if in the future I want to extend them to, hey, maybe instead of 3 or 4 minutes, I want them to be 10 minutes or 15 minutes long. Or maybe I want to do like, maybe for something like Forager or something like The Binding of Isaac, I want to do 4 minutes. But maybe for a game like The Outer Wilds or Hollow Knight, I want to do like a 20-minute or half-hour long thing where I talk about those games. I could do that too. And I'll identify them. I'll have my own thumbnails. I'll have my own things. I hate coming up with names for stuff because I'm just a fucking idiot, but
Yeah.
it's fine. I was gonna do Indie Insight for a while, but it turns out when I type that into the YouTube search bar, like fuck,
Yeah.
300,000 things already come out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
it's fine. We'll think of something. But
Yeah. Well, dude, let's do another one of these.
yeah,
Yeah. This is fun. Just like talking
I like
to you.
talking about indie games.
Yes.
I like talking about games in general, I should say. I don't want to pigeonhole myself yet again, even more.
Yeah.
I like talking about games.
I think that's what the world needs. The world needs another two guys talking about gaming podcast.
We'll give them what they need. When
Aren't there like
signals
4 million of those out there?
Yeah, but it's fine. That's kind of, at least I've maneuvered myself into a little sort of more niche part of gaming.
Yeah.
Where I don't have to go onto YouTube and be like, hey guys, it's my top 10 coolest main characters in gaming. Number 1, Duke Nukem. At least I don't have to do that. Instead, I could just be like, hey, have you heard about this game where it's called Baby Maker Extreme? And you fly out of a pregnant woman, and then the goal is to not hit the floor and bounce off as many objects.
I want to bring money and value to indie devs who tried their hardest to make a really good thing, but just don't have the resources to make this amazing thing. And if I can do that with my words, but also with my dollars, like I'll buy the game, but I can't buy 15 copies or 20 copies of it. Right. I mean, I want to get exposure.
I'm really excited going forward to not just make more content for the channel and get to play games that I haven't played and get to talk about games that I love talking about and putting that kind of stuff online. I want to talk to more indie devs and do that stuff. So like one of my first streams that I did when I started streaming again last month was for a game called The Escapist or The Escaper.
Yeah.
The Escaper.
I think I've heard of something like that.
Literally just it's a first-person escape room, and it was super fun, and it was like $3 or something. It was really fucking cheap. It was like 4 hours long, which is totally fine for the price of like a king-size. I
like 10-hour long games. I like those.
Oh yeah, I am like, if you tell me a game is like 3 or 4 hours long, I'm like, oh man, that is the easiest sell of my entire life.
Yeah.
Because God knows when I sit down for a game, and they're like, all right, you're gonna be here for an hour. Or 150 hours playing this, I'm like, God damn, dude, I want to fucking kill myself.
I feel bad at myself because I'm like, I have only put in 22 hours in this game and I'm bored and I want it to go away. Like I want it to be. I feel bad about it later on my Steam list when I paid $20 for that. But it's like, dude, you put 22 hours in. Feel good about it. Like you liked it, but you're done.
Sure.
Like Darkest Dungeon, I'm like, oh, I need to replay it. I need to actually beat it. I need to get the mods installed. No, I'm bored of it. It's okay. I had my run. That's it. Like,
yeah,
it's silly. Yeah.
I mean, the like long games, like they're just super intimidating. When people tell me like, oh, Persona 5, you're gonna play that for 200 hours. Witcher 3, that's gonna be like a 300-hour experience.
Where are these hours that I in my day?
300 hours? Like, I already work and play Animal Crossing. I don't have a lot of other time to play anything. Like, what the fuck? I can't do it anymore. But that's why again, indie games kind of fulfill for the most part, unless they're a roguelike, because then they're like, it's secretly 100 hours long. But they mostly fulfill that experience. If they're like, oh, here's a game, you know, you could play minute, and that's like, oh, that game's gonna last 2 hours, or like I played Guacamelee and that game's like 8 hours, and I'm like, this is the perfect length. Like I
Yeah.
can beat it in a week, sit down, I don't have to binge it, I don't have to play everything, and those are super good. But sorry, really quick, the point I was getting at was I played the Escaper, and I was like, this was super fun, and I really liked playing this. And it's not a game that I play a ton of, like a first-person puzzle room or escape room. And I'm like, oh, the puzzles are cool, and you look around the room for clues and stuff. I'm like, this it's just a really cool kind of thing. And I was on Twitter, and there was a developer, which I'm actually gonna pull it up really quick
Yeah.
because I feel like it would be worth it
Yeah,
to
for sure.
do this. Sorry,
Hey, when you look at my screen, is Joker spelled backwards?
no,
Okay.
is
Weird.
that a good thing?
No, it just looks backwards when I'm on my Discord. And you know what? It's gonna be because I'm recording the screen, and so Joker looks. Why the fuck is it backwards? I don't understand. It's like a
Well,
mirror image.
the dude's his Twitter handle is Clem Game Dev. He is a developer that was making a game called Mad Experiments Escape Room. And he posted that it was on Steam. So I looked at the game, or I found it on Twitter, and I was like, man, this is so fucking cool. And I loved playing the Escaper on Steam, and on stream. So I commented, and I was like, dude, this game is super cool. I would love, or I would love to play this game on stream. And he sent me a DM, and he was like, here's 3 codes for the game.
Beautiful.
You give them to your friends. It's multiplayer. Enjoy. And I was like, dude, this is so fucking cool. What a godsend, dude. What an actual master. So
It's a
obviously
win-win.
super appreciative of that. Yeah.
That's
sure.
dope. I love
And
that.
was just really fucking cool.
I love win-wins on a small scale. Like it just feels good. No one's getting screwed over. He wants exposure. You want to play it and talk about it. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited to play that.
It's a good story.
Next week. Yeah. It was just, I mean, like obviously, you know, it's I've barely been doing this shit, so it just felt really good to see the reply that's like, check your DMs, and I check it, and he's just like, here's 3 codes. I'm like, oh god, so good.
That's cool.
So that's sick. So it's just really exciting. I just want to play more games and put them on the internet.
Yeah. All right, dude. Well, let me like wrap up this recording. Any like final words or thoughts? I think we covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Good to go. We'll
mostly covered everything. I guess the only thing people need to know is that do not buy the Cooking Mama for Switch.
Okay.
It'll break your console, and that's it.
Okay. All right, we'll leave it at that. That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. See ya.